Well, thank you, everybody, for being here today. It is great to have members of the Iranian American community here in Washington. And as you could see, you have tremendous support from both Republicans and Democrats, and I'm very proud to be among those who have demonstrated that I stand with all of you to the point where Iran has sanctioned me. So I would like to say that I'm very proud of that badge of honor. But as you heard from my colleagues today, we are taking these threats very seriously. The fact that Iran continues to fund terrorism is extremely troubling, and they have even made threats toward the United States, which is why we are so passionate about making sure that we not only hold them accountable, but that we make sure that our homeland is protected to the fullest extent. So how do we work together to try to counter these threats from Iran? You've mentioned, my colleagues have mentioned many of the things that we're trying to accomplish, but the bottom line here is that we need to work together to economically cripple this regime. That is the only way we are going to make sure that the United States is protected, and making sure that we don't allow this regime to prosper and to continue these acts of terrorism. I believe that the maximum pressure campaign under the Trump administration was working. It was economically crippling, and I think it was a mistake to reverse course on the progress that was made by the previous administration. And that is why my colleagues and I have introduced legislation to reinstate sanctions, to gut Iran's ability to fund terrorism throughout the region, to sanction the supreme leader, and to force the president to enforce sanctions on Iran's oil sales. That is what we need to do if we are serious about being tough on this oppressor. We are working also diligently, and we must, to make sure that the United States holds the United Nations Human Rights Council accountable. But the fact that Iran, one of the most egregious violators of human rights, can not only serve but be named chair of the Human Rights Council is an absolute disgrace. And we need to speak out, not just as Americans, but urge our partners across the world. Democracy, freedom-loving nations around the world must unite with us on that issue. An organization that was founded specifically after World War II to promote peace and prosperity, to make sure another Holocaust would never happen again. And they continue to allow Iran to have a seat at the table of these important councils. And that is why we're working with my colleagues to strip funding from them until we see some type of accountability. Also, we must make sure that Iran does not get its hands on a nuclear weapon, meaning the Iran deal, I think, was a big mistake. We have to make sure this administration doesn't re-enter into such a deal. And certainly, if they choose to do so, Congress has the right to review and approve that deal, and that is the law, and it must not be violated by this administration. So I thank you all for coming today. I appreciate the work that you're doing. Know that you have bipartisan support here in Congress, and we will continue to rally with you to defeat this oppressor, to make sure that the people of Iran have human rights, have dignity, have free and fair elections. And I thank you for participating.